Hey guys, and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about the rest of the questions in Foundation Tier 2023 1F or 1. Question 18. Nanit buys 60 notebooks for a total cost of 680 dirhams. Nanit sells 70% of the notebooks for 22 dirhams each. She sells the remaining notebooks for 19 dirhams each. Count Nan's percentage profit. Give your answer correct to three significant figures. So we already know that she bought 60 notebooks and the total cost was 780. So let's find 70% of these notebooks, and then we're going to find the rest will be 30%. We're going to multiply the number of the notebooks with the money, add the money, and then subtract it from the original and divide by the original, then multiply it by 100. So let's do this step after another. First, let's look for the 70% of the 60. So 70% of 70 divide 100. Okay, 70 divide 100. And then we multiply it by multiplied by 60 to find the number of notebooks. Okay, so multiplied by 60. Find the number of notebooks that 70% is, okay? Here, 70% is 0.7 times 60 is gonna be 42 notebooks. So 42 notebooks will be sold for 22 dirhams. So we're gonna multiply directly by 22 dirhams to get the amount of money. So 42 times 22, and the money is 924 dirhams. Okay. Now, this is the 70%, which is 42. Now, the rest of the books is 60 minus 42, because we already know that the 42 is the 70%. Now we subtract them. This one is going to be 19 notebooks. 19 notebooks. 18, I'm sorry. So 60 minus 42 is going to be 18. Now we take the 18 and multiply it, because the rest of the books, they were sold for 19 dirhams each. So we're going to multiply it by 19. So 18 times 19. And the answer is 342 dirhams. Now we know that the money she got, or he got, the name is not obvious to us. So this one is the money that they got. Now we're going to add them together. So we're going to add the 924 with the 342. And this will be the new money. So 942 plus 3, 924. Yes, 924 plus 342. This is the total amount of money that they got. So 342 plus 924. And it's 1,266 dirhams. Now we know what is the new price, and we already know the old price. We're going to find the percentage profit that happened between them. So first we subtract them. So 1,266 minus 780. First we subtract them. 1,266 minus 780. And the answer is 486. So 486. Now we divide the 486 by the amount of money, or the original amount of money. So let's divide like that. So we take 486, divide 780. To find the percentage, I need to multiply this by 100. So I divide and then multiply by 100. Yes. Multiply 100. So 486 over 780. And then multiply it by 100. And the answer is 62.307. 62 0.307. Now we need it to three significant figures, so the answer will be 62.3, and this is how you answer a question like this. So the final is 62.3% is the percentage profit of this or this transaction. So as we said, we found the 70% of the 60 books, which is 42, and then multiplied by the total to 22 dirhams. So the first 42 books, they were sold with 42 dirhams, and they gave 924 dirhams as money. And the rest was 18 books. We multiplied them by 19 to get 342, and then we add them together. And then we try to find the percentage of increase between this amount of money and the old or the original amount of money. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now let's move on to the next question. Question 19. The diagram shows a sketch of triangle A and triangle B on a coordinate grid. Now this is shape A and shape B on the coordinate grid. Question A. Given that triangle A has been translated to give triangle B, we've got the value of D, the value of E, and the value of F. So from this question, we need to find out what's the value of D, E, and F using the translation that happened between them. So the first thing we do, we'll have to find the translation vector that happened between the two shapes. Now we know that triangle A has been translated to give triangle B. So the movement happened from triangle A to triangle B. So to find the translation vector, I have to look at the points that are obvious on the two shapes, and they have to be corresponding points. It means they have to be at the same place. So for example, if I'm talking about this point, I have to connect it to this point and describe the translation that happened between them. So first, let's write the translation vector column over here. And the translation vector column is a column like this. It's a big column like this. Now, in this column, we have two parts, the top one and the bottom one. The one on top describes what happened to the X, and the one on the bottom describes what happens or what happened to the Y. So first, let's describe what happened to the X. Let's take a look at the points here. So the X is -7 here. This is the X. So this is the X coordinate of the point. And then we have the Y coordinate of the point. Now, the X coordinate of the point is -7. And the point came here to 6 and 12. So -7 on the X became 6 here. So this is the X here, same idea. And the Y here. So this is the X coordinate of the point and the Y coordinate of the point. So first, the -7 became 6. How does the -7 become 6? First, we can do it like this by drawing a line until the 6 here, and we stop here. And then we draw another line that goes up like this. So first, we're going to describe what happened to the X movement, and then we're going to describe what happened to the Y movement. Now let's back here. So this is the translation vector. Here we have 6 on the x-axis, and then we have 12 on the y-axis here. And it becomes 12 from 2. So this is supposed to be 2. So here we will notice that this is -7. -7 came all the way to the 0 and then went to the 6. Now to bring the -7 to the 0, we're going to move like this: -7, 1, -6, 2, -5, 3, -4, 4, -3, like this, -2, -1 until the 0. Now, these movements, how many times did I move? I moved pretty good, 7 times. From -7, I can write them here from -7 until I reach the 0. It's going to be 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So until here, it's 7 times. And then from the 0 to the 6, it's 6 times. And then 7 movements plus 6 movements are 13 movements. So we moved 13 times on this line. From here till here, we moved 13 times. So we write 13. So we moved 13 times. And because we moved to the positive way or the top positive x, it means it's positive 13. So we moved positive 13 steps. As I said, we started moving from negative 7, which is here on the x-axis, until we reached 0. These are 7 movements. And then we moved till the 6. We added the 6 movement to the 7 movements. We got 13 movements. And because we moved to the positive x, it means it's positive 13. So this is what happened to the x movement. It's positive 13. And then we went from here on the y-axis from 2 until we reached 12. So from 2 to 12, how many times did we move? Very good. We moved 10 times. And because we went to the positive side of the y-axis, it means positive 10. So we moved positive 10 times. So the x movement is positive 13 from here till here. And then the y movement is positive 10 from here till here. It means for any point on the triangle A, you have to move positive 13 on the x, or add 13 to the x, and add 10 to the y to find the new point. Now, let's take a look first at the point. We have f and negative 3. F and negative 3. So we need to find the point f from this point, 9, and negative 3 became e. Now, if you're moving from A to B, it means you have to do this movement. If you're moving the opposite way from B to A, it means you have to do the opposite of the movement by changing the sign. So, for example, take a look at this point here, or coordinate. This is the y coordinate. If I want to find E, this is the y coordinate. I have to, because I'm moving from A to B, I can apply what happens to the y here, which is positive 10. So first, this is the x movement. Let's write it here, x. And this is the y movement, or what happened to the y coordinate. So here, this is the y coordinate. As we said, it's x and y. This is the y coordinate. I want to know the new y coordinate. It means I'm going to add 10 to it. So negative 3 plus 10 to find e. I'm going to say negative 3 plus 10. And the answer will be positive 7. So e is going to be positive 7, like this. The first movement, or this is the first step that we did. So first we found the translation vector, and then we use the translation vector to find the new point. So the first one, negative 3, when you add 10 to it, it's going to be positive 7. Now, same idea, I'm going to do with the x coordinate. Now, this is f, and this is 9. Now, f, if we want to find out what happened, we know what happened to f to become 9. What happened is we added 13. It means f plus 13 equals 9. So I'm going to write it here. F plus 13 equals 9. So f plus 13 becomes 9. Or I can do it the opposite way. I can say 9 minus 13 will give me f. Because if I'm going the opposite way from B to A, I have to do the opposite steps here. So I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to take the 13 to the other side. So f equals 9 minus 13. So f will equal 9 minus 13 will give me, I can use a calculator here. So 9 minus 13 is going to be negative 4. So f equals negative 4. And this is the second coordinate. So this one is negative 4. We found E. We found F using the translation vector. Same idea, I can find D. This is the x-axis, or the x-coordinate. The x-coordinate from negative 11 became 2. How did that happen? By adding 13, because I'm going from triangle A to triangle B. I have to follow the translation vector. So negative 11 plus 13 will give me 2. Now, I want to know how to find D. D came from negative 5. Now, negative 5, when you apply this, it will give you D because it's in the y coordinate. So negative 5, I'm going to say negative 5 plus 10 will give me D. Negative 5 plus 10 will give you what? It will give you 5. Very good. So D will equal 5. And this is how you find the y coordinate of this point. So this one will equal positive 5 over 5. Same idea. And this is how you answer a question like this. So you have to focus on finding the translation vector. I found the translation vector using two corresponding points on the two different triangles. These 2 points were on top. Both of them have the y, the x, and the y coordinate. Now, I found out what happened to the x movement and then the y movement. I put them in the translation vector. I use them in every point to find the values of the missing variables. And that's how you answer a question like this. Now, let's move on to the next question. The diagram shows shape P and Q drawn on a grid. This is shape P and this is shape Q. The question is describe fully the single transformation that maps shape P onto shape Q. So how did P become Q? That's the question. Now let's take a look here. Now we can say that it is enlargement. It's obvious that it is enlargement. It's not reflection, it's not rotation, it is enlargement. And it's not translation, because translation, they must have the same size. But here it's obvious that we enlarged it. And how do we find the scale? Very good. We come to one of the lines like this. We count the boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here we have 2. Now, P became Q. It means we divide the new one on the old one. We divide the new one on the old one. So 6 divide 2 will give me 3. So the scale factor is 3. Focus on this step. If you're trying to find, as we said here, P became Q. If Q became P, it means it became smaller. And it's always like this. We divide the new shape or the new line on the old or original line. Now the new line here is 6. Here's 2. We divide them, we get 3. So the scale factor is 3. So we say it's enlargement or enlarged. And the scale factor is 3. Okay. Now to find the center of enlargement, you have to connect all the lines together. Now let's take a look at the lines. So you connect these points together, the corresponding ones, this with this, and you move on like this. Okay. Next, we have this point with its corresponding one, so it's over here. Same idea, this what's is corresponding here. And the last line, which is this one and this one, so it comes over here. So we will notice that all the lines meet in one point. The point that the lines meet in is the center of enlargement. Now the coordinates of this point is 0, 2. Very good, 0, 2. So you say 0, 2, the center of enlargement, or center 0, 2. You put inside brackets, so 0, 2. And this is how you answer a question like this. So to describe what happened to P that makes the shape become Q, we said it's enlarged, we found the scale factor, we found the center of enlargement, and we answered the whole question. Now let's move on to the next question. On the grid above, rotate shape P, which is this one, 90 degrees clockwise, about 3 and 5. Label your shape R. Now, I have more videos about rotation. You can check them, and in these videos, you can, or these questions, you can use tracing paper to rotate the shape. Now, let me show you the idea. First, you need to put the center of enlargement, which is 3 and 5. So the center of enlargement is 3 and 5, which is here. Okay. Now you're gonna rotate it clockwise, and it has to be 90 degree. So first thing you do, me show you. You put the tracing paper on the shape. Let me use the tracing paper. I'll see if I can use it. The center of enlargement is over here. Thank you. So the center will be over here. 3 and 5. 90-degree clockwise. Let's see. 90-degree clockwise, about 3 and 5. Okay. Now this is 3 and 5. I'll try to use this as a tracing paper. I don't know if it works. It's not obvious. Let's change the color. Okay, you're supposed to put a tracing paper. Now, I'll see if I can rotate this. So you're supposed to put a tracing paper like this. I don't think we can rotate the paper. No, it's not rotated. Okay. I can't rotate it, so I can't use it here. Okay. Now, the idea is what? The first thing you do, you make an arrow like this from the center of rotation, okay? And then you draw the shape like this. Now, after you draw the shape and you make the arrow like this, now you write the points. First, as we said, because it's clockwise, it means we're going to rotate that way, like this. It means go with the clock. Now, on top of the arrow, you write 0. On the side here, you write 90. Now, I'm going to explain it without doing it because it's not easy for me to rotate the shape. This one is 180. And here we have 270. Now, you just remove the paper and rotate it until this arrow comes on this 90. So this arrow will come on this 90 like this. And the shape will rotate with you and it will come to its new place. Now, when you rotate it, because this one is on top, it means it's going to be here. Okay. It will go 1, 2, like this, and then like this, and then one here, and then like this. So the new shape will become over here because the arrow will become here. So the shape will be over here. Now it's easier using the tracing paper and rotating the paper using the pencil, putting the pencil in the middle and rotating the shape. Now let's move on to another question. If you don't understand the idea, go ahead, watch the videos. I do have videos about rotation and how easy they are. Now, I'll show you on MathPads very fast a rotation step, but in other questions, okay? Just to explain the idea. Now I'm going to show you this shape and I'm going to show you how to rotate it clockwise about the origin. Now, if the point is not the origin, it means you're going to do the same thing and you do the same, you put the paper, you put X, for example, on the center, you draw the shape, and then you make an arrow like this. As I told you, this arrow will be here. Let me show you. For example, this arrow is here. Now this arrow will point to 0, as I said. You're going to put 0 here. And then on the side, you're going to put 90. Okay, so you can put the arrow on the 90. Now, the arrow should rotate with the paper because it can't rotate here. But the idea is you're going to take, let's remove the arrow so you don't want to get confused. Okay. So the whole idea is taking the arrow here from 0 to 90. So you're going to rotate it like this. Look, let's pretend that this is the arrow on top. Okay, you put it on 90. And then you draw the shape again in its place. And this is the idea of rotation. And this is how you answer a question like this. And then you remove the tracing paper and put the shape in its place. And that's the whole idea. Now let's move on to the next question. Here, question 20. Diagram shows a shaded shape This is the shaded shape made by removing triangle AEB from the rectangle ABCD. Now, these are the lines that we have here. They are already put for you. This is the angle, right angle. Work out the perimeter of the shaded shape. Now, to work out the perimeter, it means you need to find out all the lines here. Now, here we have 6. This one is 5.4. This one is 7.2. It's a right angle triangle. Now, I can't find this unless I find this, which is AB. And this one is already 6 because I know that this is 6. This one will be 6. So I have to find this line, which is AB, which is the same as this line, and then use the lines inside to find the perimeter of the shape. So I'm going to put this line here just to show you what lines I'm trying to find. This line AB here is the hypotenuse of the right angle triangle. Now to find this, I'm going to use Pythagoras, which says a squared, let's put it here, equals b squared plus c squared. Up the square sign. So this is Pythagoras. I'm going to use it to find the length of the missing line, which is AB. Now, AB is the missing line, which is, let's call it X. X is the longest line, so it should be this A, okay? So it's going to be X squared, like this, equals. Now, B and C will be the other lines, which are 7.2 and 5.4. So 7.2 plus 5.4, and both of them should be squared. Now I'm going to do this part with a calculator. X squared, like this, equals, I'll do this part with the calculator, 7.2 squared, yeah, plus 5.4 squared. Okay, and the answer is 81. So this one is 81. Now to remove the square here, the square part, so I'm going to square root the side. So square root this. So square root both sides, so x will equal 9. The square root of 81 is 9. Now we found the length of x, which is 9. So let's call it 9. It means that even this one is 9, the one in the bottom. So we don't need the one on top, but we need the one on the bottom because we're going to find the perimeter of the whole shape. Now to find the perimeter, I'm going to add all the lines. So 6, 7.2, 5.4, and the 6 and the 9. Now let's add them together. So 6 plus 9 plus 7.2 plus 5.4 plus 6 again. And the answer is 33.6. So the perimeter of the shape will be 33.6. And because the numbers are in centimeters or the units are centimeters, you have to use the same unit for the answer. So the answer is 33.6 centimeters. And this is how you answer a question like this. So focus on the steps that we did. We finished the triangle to use Pythagoras and find the missing line. And then we use the missing line, we put it here, and then we added all the lines for the shaded part to find the perimeter. Now let's move on to the next question. Question 21A. Simplify it. By simplifying, it means make it as simple as possible. Now let's zoom in. Let's take a look at that. We have these inside the bracket and we have a power outside the bracket. Now, because all of these are multiplied by each other, it means I can take the power and distribute it inside like this by multiplying it by every single power. Now, here the 2 will be 2 power of 3. So 2 power of 3, let's make it big. And then the C will have a 4 multiplied by 3 power. So the power will be, very good, it's going to be 12. So c power of 12. And then the d will have power 7 multiplied by 3. So the d will be power of 21. Now to simplify it more, I'm going to find this. 2 power of 3 is going to be 8. So the final answer will be 8. C power of 12. D power of 21. So power of 12 here and power of 21 here. Let's make the power smaller so you can see it. And this is how you answer a question like this. So focus when you simplify because you have to multiply the powers by each other to make them simple as possible. Now let's move on to the next question. B. Find the value of 5y power of 0, where y is bigger than 0. So the idea here, having anything with a power of 0, it will make it equal to 1. But we have to focus that the power of 0 is only on the y. It means the 5 has a power of 1, and it's multiplied by the y power of 0, which is 1, and the final answer will be 5. So y power of 0 is 1. When you multiply it by 5, it's going to be 5. Now let's move on to the next question. Factorize fully. And as we said before, factorizing fully, it means take as much possible of numbers outside the bracket. Now, to factorize, you have to break down every single element to its prime numbers. So the 16 will be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And remember, this is by multiplying. And then we have two A's, so A, A. And then three B's, so 1, 2, 3. Now, let's come to the other part. This one is already factorized, so we have 16 a squared b power of 3. Now let's come to the 20. 20 is 2 times 2 times 5, which is 20. And then three a's, so 1, 2, 3. And then 1b, which is b. Okay. Now, after putting all the prime factors of all of them, I'm going to take the common ones between them. So the common ones, let's take a look. We have 2 here. So for each pair of common ones, I'm going to take one outside here. This is the 2. This is another 2. Let's take it at the end. We have an A here. And by that, we took all the 2's, all the A's, and a B here, okay? So we write the common ones outside. So we can put them outside the bracket. So here 2. And then here we have A and an A and then a B. So these are the common uh, factors, or each pair of common factors. We take one of them outside. Now we take them, multiply them by each other like this to put them outside the bracket. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times A is 4A times A 4A squared times B 4A squared B. Now let's write them like this. So we took the common ones outside the bracket for a squared b. Now we open a bracket here. Focus on the steps. We open a bracket. We take a look at the first group. We multiply the ones we left here. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times b is 4b times 4 is 4b squared. So this one will be 4b squared. And then the second group here, we have 5a. And before the 5a, we have a plus sign. So it's going to be plus 5a. And then we close the bracket. And by that, we finished the factorizing fully part. And this is how you answer a question like this. So you have to break every single group into its prime elements or prime factors, and then take the common ones between the two groups or the three groups, depending on the question. And then after that, you just write the common ones by multiplying them by each other, write them outside the bracket, open a bracket, write what you left in the first group and the second group, and write the sign that you have between them. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now let's move on to the next question. Question D, factorize. So this one, it means you're going to factorize it using the double bracket method by opening two brackets. So one bracket, two brackets, yes. So we open two brackets like this, and then we put x's because x here and x here, when you multiply them, you get x squared. So you're done with the x squared, okay? Now you take a look here. First, this one is what? Very good. This is minus. It means subtraction. So you write subtraction here to figure out what to do. Now, because it's subtraction, it means you have different signs here because we always subtract different signs. So one of them will be positive and the other one will be negative, like this. Now, you take the 22 and factorize it. You're over here. So 22 is 1 times 22, 2 times 11, and these are the only numbers that you have. So 1 times 22 or only factors that you have, and then 2 times 11. Now, you need two factors or a pair of factors that when you multiply them, you get 22. And when you subtract them, you get 9. So we have 11 and 2. Very good. Because 22 minus 1 is 21. We're not going to use it, but we can use the 11 and 2. Now, as you can see here, the 9 is positive. It means the bigger number will take the sign of the number here. So it's going to be a positive 11 and a negative 2. And this is how you factorize quadratic expressions. Now, let's move on to the next question. After factorizing, most questions will ask you to solve. So after factorizing, they're going to tell you hence solve. Now, solving means what? You can do it in a fast method in which you say the opposite of these. So this one is positive 11. It means x equals negative 11. And here x is negative 2. It means x equals positive 2. Or you take them and make them equal to 0. So x plus 11 equals 0. And then you take the 11 to the other side, so x equals negative 11. That's the first part here. And then for this one, x minus 2 will be 0. Let me write it here. So you take the negative 2 to the other side, so x equals 2. And this one is the solving part of the quadratic equations. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now let's move on to the next question. In this question here, we have 1, 2, 3 lines. And this is the area that describes this inequality. Now, the region R shown shaded in the diagram is bounded by 3 straight lines. Find the inequalities that define R. So we need the inequalities that define R here. So here first, it means we first find the equation of the lines, and then we use the origin point, for example, to find the inequality and prove it. So first, let's take a look at the lines that we have here. Here, the first line here, let's write the equations. This line here is x or y. Very good. It's touching the y-axis. So it's y equals, because it's touching negative 2, it's going to be y equals negative 2. Now, the other line, which is this line, it's touching the x-axis, and it's touching it in 1. So x equals 1. Okay. And then the last line, which is this one, we're going to find the equation of this line. How do we find equations? We're going to write y equals mx plus c. First, let's take a look at the c. The c is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. Good. So it's 4, or positive 4. It means y equals mx plus 4. Now we're going to find the gradient of this line. To find the gradient of the line, we can start at any point on the line. For example, this point. We go 1 positive x from the point on the line. Let me show you on another place in the line. we can use this point, for example. We go 1 positive x. Now I want to go back to the line. I have to go up or down. That's the idea of finding the gradient. Now, in this line, I have to go up here. How many times? One box, two boxes. So it's going to be positive 2 because I went up, it's positive 2. It means that the equation y equals 2x plus 4. And by that, we found the equation of the line. So this is the equation of this line. Now, after finding the equation of the line, I have to find the inequality of these lines. Now, when I look at the shaded part, I'll notice, for example, that x here is 1 and it has 0. So x is less than 1 at the same time. And it has -1, -2. So this part or this area is less than 1. So I'm going to say x is less or equal to 1. So I'm going to say x is smaller than or equal to 1. Now let me write it like this. Yes. As I said, how did I find out that it's smaller? Because here x equals 1. The shaded region here, x is 0 and x is -1. So it's obviously that x is smaller or equal to 1, like this. And this is the first inequality for this line. Now for this line, y equals -2, I'm going to do the same idea. Take a look at the line. Y here is -2, and then y is -1, and then 0, and then 1, and then 2. These values are bigger than -2. It means the y is bigger than or equal to -2. So I'm going to write it here. Y is bigger than or equal to -2, and I'm going to make the inequality sign like this. So it has to be bigger than or equal to -2, like this. So I have found this line, or the inequality for this line, and the inequality for this line. Because they are obvious, this is x1, x equals 1 here, and then x equals 0. It's obvious that the 0 is smaller than 1. Same idea here for the y, this is -2. It's obvious that these lines or these points are bigger than -2. So that's why I put y is bigger than or equal to -2. And then the last part, which is this equation, I'm going to say this one is 2x plus 4. Okay. Obviously, the part here is smaller than the part here. So these parts here are smaller than this one. It means the y will be smaller than or equal to this expression. So I'm going to say y is smaller or equal to 2x plus 4. Right? Yes. As I said, finding this is the same because these values, it's smaller. The y is smaller and it gets smaller than the line itself. So it means y is smaller than or equal to to 2x plus 4. And this is how you answer a question like this. And by that, we found all the inequalities that describe the region below. And this is how you answer a question like this. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.